Satyamayi Parame Satyam Jnanam Satyam Jnanam Jyotir Aravinda Jyotir Aravinda Jyotir Aravinda. So when we are speaking about the truth, there are actually many levels of the truth. The one basic truth is saying truth and saying lies, but that's a very superficial or basic level of the truth we are talking about. Let me begin with a metaphor. So suppose Prarthana and I are in a movie theater watching a movie, and there is a villain beating up an innocent person. Suppose Prarthana and I are hypnotized to believe that I am the villain and she's the person being beaten up. So in the state of that hypnosis, Prarthana feels a victim and I feel like the aggressor. But when we come back to our senses, we see it was just a movie. There was no one being beaten, there was no one who was beating. But when I'm under the hypnosis of ignorance, all the villains in my life are very real, all the narratives in my mind are very real. But if you take the mind, and this is a story of a sage who was sitting and meditating, and there was a dacoit passing by who got very irritated seeing the sage's peace. Sometimes when you're agitated and you see someone calm, it riles you. So he took a stone and hit the sage and ran away. And some of the sage's disciples came along and they nursed the wound, and they asked him that, who did this to you, master? Who was the cruel person who would hurt somebody like you? So the sage smiled and said, the same hand that threw a stone at me is nursing my wound just now. So for the sage, the reality was different. For a sage is somebody who is permanently out of the movie screen. So for him, everything is that one consciousness, and he lives from that truth. But when we are hypnotized into believing that the different movies in our life are real, anything we think will always have an element of falsehood. In the realm of mental thinking, it's a realm of half truth, half lies. So a very good practice is to never put a full stop at the end of every thought. Every thought should end with a question mark. I think this, but who knows, is it really true? And the more so if we really look at the deeper levels of truth, faith is a truth, doubt is a falsehood. Now you won't say that if I'm doubting something, I'm lying. But at the level of that truth, every time I'm doubting my safety, doubting my well-being, doubting the goodness of life, I am encouraging falsehood in me. Because when I'm living in that realm of truth behind, I know that my life is constantly unfolding in a field of eternal good. I know without doubt these cliches, but they are such true cliches that if I've been taken to it, I'll be taken through it. And quantum physics calls this what we call Brahman, the reality behind. Quantum physics calls it the unified field. a field which is constantly resonating with your thoughts. So a field which rewards you when you're resonating with the truth of your being, and a field which wakes you up when you're resonating with a falsehood. So every time, suppose you're feeling threatened about something and faith comes alive in you, you create a resonance in the field. So this field isn't about reward and punishment, it's always mirroring your state back to you. When you're in a state of faith, you create a resonance which sets things right, because that's physics. When you're in a state of negativity and doubt, remember this field is only mirroring to you what you are. So you cannot have a beautiful outside till you're with the living, beautiful truth inside you. And now we'll just read some words of the masters to help us to come closer to living this truth. So these are Mother's words. She says, truth is stronger than falsehood. Now what is falsehood? Falsehood is anything not aligned to the truth of our source. So as I said, doubt is falsehood, anger is falsehood, suspicion is falsehood, criticism is falsehood. Beautifully said, if you can still criticize, you haven't touched the truth. Because when you touch the truth, nothing in you can criticize anything. So the truth is stronger than falsehood. There is an immortal power that governs the world. Its decisions always prevail. So this immortal power is in that sense the unified field, the Brahman, whatever you called it. So there is an immortal power that governs the world. This is the power which is the field of eternal good in which our life is constantly unfolding. Its decision always prevail. Join with it and you're sure of the final victory. This is summing up the Mahabharata, right? The Mahabharata is actually a metaphor. We all know about it. Pandavas are the forces of evolution. Kauravas are the forces of falsehood. Pandavas only 5, Kauravas 100. Forces of falsehood are always more than the forces of truth. But when the forces of truth align with the inner Godhead, with what she calls the immortal power, Krishna represents that, the victory is certain, right? So there is an immortal power, join with it. Arjun chose to join with this immortal power. We all know that he chose Krishna over his army and his horses and everything. Krishna gave him a choice and he says, no, I want you. And to the external mind, this seems a silly choice. But that one choice is what led Pandavas to victory, right? And in a small way, we always have that choice. If we have a choice of remembering mother or wasting time in useless talk, it's that choice which the Arjun inside us has to make. What am I choosing? And it comes to us 100 times in a day. I give in to an impulse to criticize somebody, slander somebody. I give in to anger. In that sense, I'm choosing the army over God, because God is always the choice of peace and alignment and truth. So Mother says, join with it and you're sure of the final victory. Before dying, falsehood rises in full swing. Still people understand only the lesson of catastrophe. Will it have to come before they open their eyes to the truth? So I ask an effort from all so that it has not to be. See, we are all clucking our tongues at the Strait of Hormuz war, but somewhere as a collective consciousness, we all contribute to it, right? Because Mother says it very beautifully, even if one of you conquers conflict in you, it weakens conflict in the collective human consciousness. Every time I harmonize with a family member instead of fighting with him, who knows in what way I'm contributing to stopping the war. Every time I choose harmony in my mind over a thought of conflict, who knows how I'm helping the collective whole. This external circumstances are just a reflection of the human state of consciousness. So Mother saying, does it always take a catastrophe to make human beings wake up? Will you wake up before being hit by the catastrophe? So it is only the truth that can save us. Truth in words, truth in action, truth in will, truth in feelings. It is a choice between serving the truth or being destroyed. It is a choice between serving the truth and being destroyed. Truth in words. How many of my words are just empty conditioning? If somebody asks you, how are you? How many of us genuinely say, how am I, and just say wonderful or okay? Or, even in SMSs or WhatsApp messages, how much is just, see, if we write all my love, is it true? Are you really meaning all your love when you write to someone? Or just because somebody sent it to me and it sounded good, so I also want to sound good and I write it. Truth has many degrees. I say don't type anything or don't say anything which you don't authentically mean. Don't say anything just because it sounds good. Somebody said it to you, it sounded good, so I'm going to parrot it. Not like that. That's not living the truth. So Mother says truth in words, truth in action, truth in will, truth in feelings. For those who are eager to get rid of falsehood, here is a way. Beautiful words, huh? She hits it on the nail. She hits the nail on the head. Do not try to please yourself, Mother says. Do not try to please others. Try only to please the Lord. Do not try to please yourself. Do not try to please others. Try only to please the Lord. Because He alone is the truth. Each and every one of us human beings in our physical body is a coat of falsehood put upon the Lord, hiding Him. Each one of us is a coat of falsehood put upon the Lord, hiding it. So most of our actions are, for most of us, people pleasing, right? We say things to please people. We say things to look good in their mind, to appear good. But she's saying change that as the fulcrum of your existence. Don't say things or do things to please others or to please your ego. Sometimes I exaggerate and utter falsehoods to sound interesting to people, right? That's pleasing my ego. So she's saying don't do that. Don't do things to please yourself. Don't do things to please others. Say things and do things only to please the Lord. As He alone is true to Himself, it is on Him that we must concentrate and not on the coats of falsehood. To come closer to the truth, you must often accept not to understand. So sometimes you don't understand, and you should make peace with not understanding, because Sri Aurobindo says that the mother's workings are so swift that even the most intelligent mind can't follow it. Sometimes just make peace with, I don't understand why he's behaving like this, why this is happening, but Mother knows. In her knowing, I'm good. So somebody told Mother, when I'm right, no one remembers. When I'm wrong, no one forgets. He's complaining. So Mother says, because there is no true right and wrong. The only truth is the Lord, and He remembers everything. So don't care whether people, finally what you are is between you and the mother. Why should you care so much what other people think of you? Why is it so important for you to be right in their eyes? She said so beautifully, there is no true right and wrong. Only the Lord is true and He remembers everything. Each idea, this is again Mother's words, each idea or system of ideas, it's true in its own time and place. But if it tries to be exclusive or to persist even when its time is over, then it ceases to be true. Beautiful. It's saying each idea is true only in its time and place. So Sri Aurobindo says it differently. An evil is a good that has outlived its time. So what's good at a particular point in time, if you keep stretching it, when it's outdated, it becomes evil. For example, sati, right? When it started, it was a good principle. It saved the women from falling into the hands of the Mughals. They killed themselves because they would suffer something worse. But to carry it on to this day and age, the same good becomes an evil. And even in our lives, things that served us at one point, but when they don't serve us anymore and we keep doing them out of past conditioning, habit, then the same good becomes an evil. A good that has outlived its time, Sri Aurobindo says, is an evil. And that's what Mother is saying in the different words. Every idea is true in its own time and place. But if it tries to be exclusive or to persist even when its time is over, then it ceases to be true. If any element of this totality is taken separately and affirmed as the sole truth, however central or comprehensive it may be, it necessarily becomes a falsehood, for then it denies all the rest of the total truth. So there's a totality of truth, and if you take any one element of it, a simple thing like if I get fanatical about even Mother, and I tell a Krishna devotee, no, you're doing it all wrong, Mother is the only God, then that is a falsehood, isn't it? So as this, however central or comprehensive it may be, it necessarily becomes a falsehood, for then it denies all the rest of the total truth. This is precisely what constitutes an indisputable dogma, and this is why it is the most dangerous and exclusive truth. The absolute, infinite, eternal truth is unthinkable for the mind, which can only conceive that it is spatial and temporal, fragmentary and limited. Thus, on the mental plane, the absolute truth is divided into innumerable fragmentary and contradictory truths which strive in their entirety to reproduce the original truth as best as they can. For each is a truth that attempts to affirm itself as the sole truth to the exclusion of all other truths, which through their innumerable totality express progressively in the becoming of the infinite, eternal, and absolute truth. That is how they deny the total truth. So I remember once I was in Pondicherry, and I met a very senior sadhak there, and I was carrying a book of a master who wasn't other than Sri Aurobindo, because for me, any master who gives me the truth, it's my master speaking to me. And that sadhak very firmly said, why do you even bother reading anyone other than Sri Aurobindo? And I just smiled because it wasn't my truth. But that's what I mean. We can get so fanatical even about them. They who were the most Catholic in their approach to everything. They were so open-minded about everything, and they were so clear, never make us a religion and never be fanatical about us. But each of us follows it in a different way.
I just got this change of man's consciousness, and the change is bound to come. But it is left to men to decide if they will collaborate with this change, or if it will have to be enforced upon them by the power of crashing circumstances. So wake up and collaborate.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Mother further says, intellectually, the truth is the point. This is a gem. It's totally mind-opening. Intellectually, the truth is the point where all the opposites meet and join to make a unity. Practically, the truth is the surrender of the ego to make possible the birth and manifestation of the divine. Intellectually, the truth is the point where all opposites meet and join to make a unity. So, a truth, the absolute truth excludes nothing. To say A is not A and to say that A is A, both are truth, and both meet and join a unity. So, it's a beautiful sentence where two opposites meet is the point of highest truth. Think about it. So, for example, to say that I am Anahita is a truth. To say that I am not Anahita and I am Brahman is also a truth. And where these two opposites meet, I am Brahman who is Anahita, is the point of a higher truth. So, practically, truth is surrender of the ego to make possible the birth and manifestation of the divine. Doubt is the best arm used by the ego to protect itself from extinction. So the way ego survives is through doubt, because the moment you have faith, it's a big blow to the ego. The ego survives on being a victim, on doubting, etc., etc. So doubt is the best arm used by the ego to protect itself from extinction. These are remarks on the way which may lead you a little further. They are sent with blessings. Truth is above mind. It is in silence that one can enter into communication with it. To pray to the divine and to surrender oneself entirely and in all sincerity to him are the essential preliminary conditions. He who sincerely wants to serve the truth will know the truth. Okay, these are gorgeous lines from Savitri, page 278. But thought not word can seize eternal truth. The whole world lives in a lonely ray of her sun. So the mother is the eternal truth, and no thought, no word can seize her. She is the mystery beyond all mysteries, and the whole world lives in one lonely ray of a sun. A sun has million zillion rays, and the light we are living in is one lonely ray of that huge sun. In our thinking's close and narrow lamplit house, the vanity of our shut mortal mind dreams that the chains of thought have made ours, but only we play with her brilliant bonds. Tying her down, it is ourselves we tie. See, Mother is so infinite that she is beyond all concept. But every time we put her into the box of a concept, we are tying her down. But in tying her down, we are tying ourselves down. Like we have a concept that if I pray to Mother, she should always answer my prayer. Otherwise, she doesn't care for me. And I do so much drama in my mind with that so often, right? But it doesn't affect her. She's infinite. I'm tying her down with my concepts. I can't tie her down. It is myself I'm putting in a box. So, Tying her down, it is ourselves we tie. In our hypnosis by one luminous point, we see not what small figure of her we hold. So Mother herself once says that if you connect with me only as this body, you're limiting my force to a very small percent of what it is. So that's what she's saying. He's saying rather, Sri Aurobindo, in our hypnosis by one luminous point, one shining point, which we take to be Mother, we see not what small figure of her we hold. She is much vaster than any concept of her we have. We feel not her inspiring boundlessness. We share not her immortal liberty. Thus is it even with the seer and sage. For still the human limits the divine. Even the seer and the sage doesn't know the totality of Mother's infinity, because the human in us limits the divine. Out of our thoughts, we must leap up to sight. So a seer doesn't function out of thought. He functions out of sight. When Sri Aurobindo was asked about himself, he said, I'm not a philosopher, I'm a seer and a poet. What I see in my vision, I write about it. It's not mentally figured out. So it's saying, out of our thoughts, we must leap up to sight. Breathe her divine, illimitable air. Her simple, vast supremacy confess. Dare to surrender to her absolute. Then the unmanifest reflects his form. Simple ways to dare to surrender to her absolute. I want things to go a certain way. I want this person to behave like that. But he doesn't. Instead of throwing a tantrum in my mind, so beautiful to remember that my life is unfolding in the hands of Mother's grace. That my life is unfolding in the field of the eternal good. That every way I want isn't the way that's good for me. The way that finally finds me is the way it needs to be. And the way will always find me, isn't it? But not in ways that I have a concept that it will find me. So, dare to surrender to her absolute. Look at his play of words. You need courage to do that. He says, dare to surrender to her absolute. It's not an easy thing to be okay with what she gives me, remembering that she's giving me what I need, not what I want. And it takes courage to give away what I want. Then the unmanifest reflects his form. So when I'm in this state of surrender, the unmanifest reflects his form. This is, we see this in the life of Mirabai. We know that at the end of her life, not end of her life, just before she was about to drown herself in the river, because Krishna hadn't come to her in 2 years since she'd set off from her palace to Vrindavan. And she's shedding tears, and she's telling Krishna that in this birth I haven't been worthy of your grace, because you've abandoned me, something must be lacking in me. But I'm going to end my life, and next birth make sure that you find me. That was her last prayer, and she cries. And in her teardrop, she suddenly sees Krishna. And she sees the grass blade, and she suddenly sees Krishna. And she sees Krishna everywhere. So these lines, dare to surrender to her absolute, then the unmanifest reflects his form. So Mirabai had this experience where the unmanifest expressed, it reflects his form. In the still mind, as in a living glass, the timeless ray descends into our hearts, and we are wrapped into eternity. For truth is wider and greater than her forms. See, every thought is also a word form. but truth is wider and greater than her forms. 1,000 icons, idols, they have made of her, and find her in the idols they adore, but she remains herself and infinite. So beautiful. 1,000 icons they have made of her, and find her in the idols they adore, but she remains herself and infinite. Mother's words, but the simple fact of giving oneself to the divine, so that the divine takes you and makes of you what he wills, and this in all its purity and constancy, well, there are not many who do that, yet this is indeed the truth. The simple fact of giving oneself to the divine. What does it mean to give yourself to the divine? It's to withdraw yourself from your ego, as simple as that. The more you live from the ego, the more you're separate from the divine. But to give yourself to the divine is to withdraw more and more from the dictates of your ego, your desires, my way, to give up all that and to tell God that whatever you will. Mother says somewhere else, the supreme secret is to make your will one with the divine will. But of course, it's a lifetime's journey. It's easier said than done. Okay, these are beautiful words of Osho. He says, when you love, you have to become nobody. Nobody is empty of the ego. If you remain somebody, then love never happens. When you love a person, even for a single moment, love happens and flows between two persons. There are two nothingnesses, not two persons. If anyone you interact with in a real moment of love, whether it's a partner, friend, a child, you've forgotten I, me, mine. You've forgotten what are you giving me? Are you making me feel special? Are you loving me enough? Are you appreciating my love? All that goes away. It's a moment of nothingness. A moment of love is two nothingnesses meeting each other, not two persons. If you have ever had any experience of love, you can understand. Two lovers sitting by each other's side, or two nothingnesses sitting together, only then the meeting is possible, because barriers are broken, boundaries thrown away, the energy can move from here to there. There is no hindrance. So love is not an effort. You cannot make an effort to love. If you make an effort, there is no love. You flow into it. You don't make an effort. You simply allow it to happen. You don't make an effort. It is not a doing, it is a happening. Without making an effort. And the same is the case with the total, the final. So one boy recently told me that his mother keeps trying to do things to make him feel loved, and she does so much that it interferes with his space. And he told me that I told her that, Mom, I don't need you to do anything for me to make me feel loved. I'm happy just being in your presence when you're relaxed and we are communicating. For me, that is love. I don't need you to be a helicopter mom to make me feel loved. So, it is not a doing, it is a happening without making an effort. And the same is the case with the total, the final. You don't make an effort, you simply float with it, but remaining loose and natural. This is the way. Remain loose like water, not fixed like ice. Ice meaning you're coming from your conditioning. See, when we hug people also, how many times it's a cursory hug, there's no heart in it. It's a habit to hug. Then it's better not to hug. Be true. Give the person a hug only if you feel like. So that's being fixed like ice. I have a certain 1, 2, 3 tick marks. If I fulfill this, I'm a loving person. But love is not like that. Love is unpredictable. It's like water which can flow anywhere. It's not like ice which stays in one place. Remain moving and flowing wherever the nature leads you. Don't resist. Don't try to impose anything on you, on your being. Oh, I must be a good person. I must be a loving person. Take away all those conditionings and pressures from yourself. But the whole society teaches you to impose something or the other. Be good, be moral, be this, be that. And Tantra is absolutely beyond society. Tantra is a form of, if you say yoga is worship of Shiva, Tantra is worship of the Divine Mother Shakti. So Tantra is a space of being in surrender to the moment, to be loose and natural without effort, whereas yoga is effort. So, and Tantra is absolutely beyond society, culture and civilization. It says if you are too much cultured, you will lose all that is natural. And then you will be a mechanical thing, not floating, not flowing. So don't force a structure around you. Live moment to moment, live with alertness. And this is a deep thing to be understood. Why do people try to create a structure around them so that they don't need alertness? This is a beautiful thing he says. Because if I know I'm going to meet you and I'm going to say, hi, how are you? That's a structure. I don't need to be alert to sense how you are, to respond to you in a different way. You understand? Because I know what I need to say to you, and that structure protects me. But if I'm alert and awake, I'll feel your expressions, I'll feel your tone. I may need to say something else that the moment requires. But when I'm living with structure, that doesn't happen. So why do people need to create structure around them so that they don't need alertness? Because if you have no character around you, you will need to be very aware, because each moment the decision has to be taken. You don't have a prefabricated decision. You don't have an attitude. You have to respond to the situation. Something is there and you're absolutely unprepared for it. You will have to be very, very aware. Do you get the beauty of what he's saying? Yeah? So the question is, how can we realistically not have habits and structures, and won't we be exhausted? But my point is, it's those structures which exhaust you, because there's a constant pressure on yourself to live up to an image in your mind or to live up to an image in somebody's mind. When you're loose and natural, you don't have that image to live up to. You're free to be who you want. I don't know, Amy. See, in your own experience, people who are very plastic and who are very predictable, they are actually very boring people. You want to run away from them. Although they are very nice, very sweet people, but you don't want to spend an hour talking to them, because everything they say will be predictably sweet and predictably kind. But it's not authentic, it's not real. It's sometimes the wild ones who are Not necessarily kind, but they speak their mind, and they are the exciting people you want to spend time with. Think about it. And they are not exhausted being themselves, they are being authentic. I always say, better to be an authentic animal than a fake god. At least an authentic animal will be loved. A fake god nobody wants to be with. And this is also living the truth. See, our conditioning, our moral thing is a falsehood we live with. It's not being authentic, it's hiding behind structures which themselves are falsehoods. You don't have a to avoid awareness, people have created a trick, and the trick is character. Force yourself into a certain discipline so that whether you're aware or not, the discipline will take care of you. Make a habit of always saying the truth. Make it a habit. Then you do not need to be worried about it. Somebody asks, you will say the truth out of habit. It won't be tiring. But out of habit, a truth is dead. So habit is what kills the truth. Allow yourself to be unpredictable and authentic in the moment. Difficult, but take baby steps. Respond with full awareness, that's all. And let the decision come out of the situation itself. Not prefabricated, not imposed. Don't carry a built-in mind. Just remain loose, unaware, and natural. And this is how a religious man is. Otherwise, the so-called religious persons are just dead. They act out of their habits. They go on acting out of their habits. This is a conditioning. This is not freedom. Consciousness needs freedom. Be loose. Remember this word as deeply as possible. Be loose, not tight with conditioning. Let it penetrate you. Be loose. So in every situation you can flow easily, water-like. So if the water is poured into a glass, it takes the shape of the glass. It doesn't resist. It doesn't say this is not my form. If the water is poured into a jar, into a jug, it takes the shape of that. It has no resistance. It is loose. Remain loose like water. Sometimes you will have to move south and sometimes north. You will have to change directions according to situations. You will have to flow. But if you know how to flow, it is enough. The ocean is not very far away if you know how to flow. If you're like ice, you'll take millennia and you may not reach the ocean. But if you're loose like water, the ocean of truth, you'll by and by reach there. Let anger be there. Let it happen. But be fully alert to what's happening. Remain loose, natural, aware, watching what is happening. By and by, you will see many things have simply disappeared. They don't happen anymore. And without making any effort on your part, you have never tried to kill them. They have simply disappeared. How? Now he's explaining how. When one is aware, anger by and by disappears. It becomes simply stupid, not bad, because remember, bad is a loaded value. It becomes simply stupid, unconscious. It is not that because it is bad that you don't move into it. It is simply foolish. It is not a sin, but simply stupid. Greed disappears, it is stupid. Jealousy disappears, it is stupid. Moment you see that all these things are just unconscious, they are not bad. The moment you say they are bad and you get into that cycle of pushing them away, I'm bad because I'm feeling it, it just tightens its hold on you. But what is Osho saying? Remain loose. Just pay attention to it. Notice the emotion. See if it has a counterpart in your body. Don't call it good or bad. Remember, remind yourself, oh, it's not bad to be angry. I'm not a bad person because I'm angry. I'm just being unconscious. I'm being stupid. And I know better than to give in to stupidness. Remember this valuation. In morality, there is something good and something bad. In being natural, there is something wise and something stupid. So what's the distinction between a moral man and a natural man? For a moral man, the poles are good and bad. For a natural mind, a natural man, the poles are wise and stupid, conscious and unconscious. A man who is natural is wise, not good. A man who is not natural is stupid, not bad. So a man who is natural is wise, not good. If you look at the behavior of many masters, it's very kadak and harsh sometimes. They are not concerned of being kind and goody two shoes all the time, but they are acting out of a wisdom. We all know that story of a lady who went to the mother. She had a very bad toothache and her tooth was swollen. And as soon as mother saw her, she gave her a tight slap. And the girl started crying and ran out saying, what a cruel lady, I came expecting something, I'm taking the same first train out of here. And somebody who'd seen her go in looked at her and said, Arey, but you came with such a swollen cheek, what's happened to your swelling? Then she stopped crying and she said, my pain had gone and the swelling had gone. The mother had. So we can't understand the workings of the master. Would you say mother acted good? To us, seeing her behavior was bad. But it was natural. For her, it was natural to do this. And when you're natural, you're not all the time kind. You can be very firm and strong when the situation demands it. So, a man who is not natural is stupid, not bad. A man who is natural is wise, not good. There is nothing bad and nothing good, only wise things and foolish things. This is a big blow to us if we built our whole lives around morality. But it's a good time to start unlearning it. There is nothing bad and nothing good, only wise things and foolish things. And if you're foolish, you harm yourself and others. And if you're wise, you don't harm anybody, neither others nor you. There is nothing like sin and there is nothing like virtue. Wisdom is all. If you want to call it virtue, call it virtue. And ignorance, if there is there. If you want to call it sin, that is the only sin. Ignorance is the only sin. To be unconscious is the only sin. It's not wrong to get angry, but to not be aware of that anger, that's the sin. You understand? To get overwhelmed by it and let it control you, that's the sin. But to let anger come and to be present to it, just be loose and natural without calling it wrong, without calling yourself wrong. Just let it be. And by the natural momentum of life, it will change. And remember, even an authentic anger is better than a pretended smile. So true, no? Authentic anger is better than a pretended smile. Because at least it is authentic. I'm angry at you and out of morality I'm giving you a fake smile. It will irritate you more than if I just tell you what I'm thinking. A man who cannot be authentically angry cannot be authentic at all. At least he is authentic, true to his being. Whatsoever is happening, you can rely on him that it is true. And this is my observation, that true anger is beautiful and a false smile is ugly. True anger can be beautiful and a false smile is ugly. And a true hate has its own beauty, just like true love, because beauty is concerned with truth. True hate is hate which is not distorted by manipulation, by distortion. Just I hate you and I'm authentically conscious of that hatred. I'm not trying to pretend otherwise. I'm not covering it up. I'm just being fully present to that hatred. Whether it is concerned, neither is it concerned with hate nor love. Beauty is of the true. Truth is beautiful in whatsoever form. So what Osho is saying, something very subtle and beautiful, that any emotion which you haven't distorted with mental gymnastics, which you haven't manipulated, which you haven't corrupted with egoistic narratives, it's beautiful because it's true. Huh? Yes, the mind is deciding that you hate that person, but instead of staying with the raw emotion of that hatred, you go into many mental gymnastics and narratives about the person. Osho is saying you're feeling a moment of dislike, don't convert it to thought. Stay with the raw emotion of dislike. Don't suppress it, don't express it, just be completely present to it. So, a truly dead man is more beautiful than a falsely alive man, because at least the basic quality is there of being true. Satyam Shivam Sundaram, remember? Satyam, truth, Shiva, truth is God, is beauty. So wherever there's a lie, it makes existence ugly. Any kind of lie, any kind of pretension, hypocrisy, needing to appear, and the moment loses its beauty. Mullah Nasruddin is a fictitious character Osho often uses. Mullah Nasruddin's wife died and the neighbors gathered, but Mullah Nasruddin was standing there completely unaffected, as if nothing had happened. Neighbors started crying and weeping, and they said, "What are you standing there for, Nasruddin? She is dead." Nasruddin said, "Wait, she's such a liar. At least for 3 days I have to wait and see whether it is true or not." Imagine what he must have lived with. Remember this, that beauty of truth, authenticity, become more authentic and you will have a flowering. And the more authentic you become, by and by you will feel many things are falling away of their own accord. Drop pretensions, drop hypocrisies, drop all that you have cultivated around your natural being. Become natural. Very tall order, because all our life we've been conditioned to pretend, to appear nice, to appear good. But really spirituality makes us unlearn all that we've learned. We come back to Mother's words. Speak always the truth. To speak always the truth is the highest title of nobility. Further she says, one drop of truth is worth more than an ocean of false information. Never tell a lie, absolute condition for safety on the path. Then we'll often find a conflict between truth and kindness, right? Sometimes in order to be kind, I may feel like saying a lie, but Mother says never tell a lie. Instead of paying a false compliment, be quiet. You don't like something somebody has worn, you don't have to falsely compliment that person. Just be quiet. It's like saying, "How are you?" We say, "Oh, you're looking so nice," when you don't think the person's looking nice, and little things like that. Don't give in to falsehood and lies. Never tell a lie, absolute condition for safety on the path. Each lie uttered is a step taken towards disintegration. I have always and will always forbid lies, Mother says. If you do not wish to say something which is true, instead of lying, just keep silent. See, there she says, don't lie, just be quiet. Let nothing be written with this pen except what is perfectly true. When you're writing birthday cards, birthday messages, how much we exaggerate what we really feel. No, I love you to the moon and back. But do you really love that much? I mean, we use words so flippantly, and we don't need to. We can be authentic in the way we express ourselves, and that authenticity has its own beauty. Simple words will touch the person more if they are true than all these things we've read and we feel they sound so good, so I'll just write them. But do I really feel it? Let nothing be written with this pen except what is perfectly true. If we allow a falsehood, however small, to express itself through our mouth or our pen, how can we hope to become perfect messengers of truth? A perfect servant of truth should abstain even from the slightest inexactitude, exaggeration or deformation. We should stop ourselves from the slightest exaggeration, and if anything we feel this is not exact, check, and don't hesitate to correct yourself. If you felt you've said something which isn't true, get back to the person and said, I said this, but when I checked it's that. Silence is far superior to inexactitude. You must always do what you say, but it is not always wise to speak about everything you do. So it's not sensible to tell everyone everything you do, and it's not even necessary. When you speak, you must always speak the truth, but sometimes it is better not to speak. When you speak, you must always speak the truth, but sometimes it is better not to speak. Never boast, because boasting is also a falsehood. No, you're not saying the truth about yourself. By boasting, you dissipate your capacity. Even if it's true, you're dissipating the thing you're boasting about. Boasting, one of the greatest obstacles to progress. It is a foolishness one must carefully avoid if one aspires to a true progress. All these are Mother's words. All these till the end are Mother's words. To cure a critical sense that manifests by incontinence of speech. Mother gives pointers. How do you cure a critical sense that manifests when you're speaking without thinking? One, Mother says, when you're in this state, when you're feeling critical of something in your mind, absolutely refuse to speak. Don't speak when you're feeling critical. If need be, make it physically impossible for yourself to speak. Go out of the room. Go to the bathroom and shut your mouth. Make it physically impossible. When your mind is in a critical state, Mother says, don't speak. 2, study yourself without pity and realize that you carry in yourself precisely all the things that you find so ridiculous in others. Mother says, if you find mud outside, you have mud within you. We said this at the beginning of the talk. The quantum field doesn't punish or reward you, it reflects you. If you have a weakness inside you, it will send you a person who reflects that weakness to you. And the moment you see it in yourself, you are kinder to that person for his or her weakness. 3, discover in your nature the opposite way of being, benevolence, humility. So you're in a very critical frame of mind. Discover in yourself the opposite of it. Give the person benefit of doubt. Beautiful to send metta to that person. What the Buddha teaches, may you be well, may you be happy, may you be peaceful, may you be free. Discover in your nature the opposite way of being, benevolence, humility, goodwill, and insists that it develop to the detriment of the contrary element. This is very important. It's not enough to just suppress the criticism, but actually convert it to its opposite. Mother says it's so beautiful. Generosity is not just giving people, I don't know whether mother says it or somebody says it, it's a concept in spirituality, that generosity is not just about giving money to people. Generosity is giving benefit of doubt to somebody you're being critical about. You're being generous in your consciousness towards the person. So, further, Mother says, you are right in keeping quiet in front of those who do not understand, because the divine is with you, and that is the only thing that matters, with love and blessing. So a sadhak probably told her that so and so doesn't understand what I'm saying, so I'm not breaking my head giving elaborate explanations, I'm just keeping quiet. So Mother saying, bingo, absolutely right. You are right in keeping quiet in front of those who do not understand, because the divine is with you, and that's the only thing that matters. Sometimes if somebody criticizes you, you go into elaborate explanations of why you don't deserve the criticism. But Mother is saying, don't do that, just be quiet. What you are is between you and the divine. You don't have to give justifications about yourself to anyone else. So, because the divine is with you, and that is the only thing that matters, with love and blessings. Further, Mother says, it is certainly very bad to speak about the faults of others. So we'll say it's not bad, but it is not wise. It is not conscious. And that's what Mother means. It's not conscious to speak very bad about the faults of others. Everyone has his defects, and to keep on thinking of them surely does not help to cure them. See, in the quantum field that we talked about, everything exists as possibilities, and the observer's gaze crystallizes those possibilities into existence. So if I'm constantly, there's a person I'm living with, and I'm constantly thinking that person's unfair, that person's this, that person's that. In the quantum field, every thought like that is pulling the possibility of the person being like that into existence. If I change the way I think about the person, I'm pulling another possibility into existence. Therefore, Mother says that whenever you feel critical of somebody, first, don't speak out of that criticism. 2, look in yourself for what you're criticizing in that person. Always do that and you'll inevitably find it. 3, change that negative feeling into metta or compassion or something beautiful. And then you'll see over a period of time, you'll also change and that person also will change towards you. So these are the different shades of truth. Truth is not, of course, not speaking a verbal lie is one level of it, but any kind of pretension, any kind of not being authentically who you are or what you're feeling is also a lie. That doesn't mean you dump your negative feelings on people to be authentic, but you're present to them, you're conscious of them, and you don't try to appear what you're not. You don't have to express the negative feelings, but you don't have to go to the other end of the spectrum to pretend that you don't have them. Like, I'm jealous of your success, but I hug you and say, I'm so happy for you. Don't do that. Work with your jealousy till maybe one point you can authentically go and give that person a hug and say congratulations. You haven't reached a point where you can be happy for that person, but at least you're neutral enough to mean the congratulations. So that's being authentic. Don't pretend to cover up the negative emotions you're feeling. Yeah? So with that we end with 3 Ohms. Next, do